In this episode of Travel with Xi'an, we're visiting the world-famous Terracotta Warriors. The Terracotta Warriors are preserved in the Emperor Huang's Mausoleum Site Museum near Xi'an, China. You may want to arrive early, as an average of 30 to 35,000 people visit on any given day. Before you can get to the ticket counter, you must first go through security to have your passport scanned and checked against a national security database. When you get to the ticket counter, you must present your passport again, and again it will be scanned because your passport is your ticket. Although Chinese citizens have to buy their ticket online in advance and then present their national ID card to collect their tickets, anyone with a foreign passport can buy their ticket when they arrive. More security will scan your passport again to verify your ticket, and then they will also scan any bags you are carrying, all before you can get to the museum shuttle. We rode the museum shuttle tram while other people chose to walk. In 2024, there was a total of 11.5 million visitors to this historic site. Then there's another security check before you actually enter the museum itself. The Emperor Huang Mausoleum Site Museum was built over where the Terracotta Warriors were buried over 2,000 years ago. So, shortly after entering the museum, you'll be able to see the main pit containing the majority of the statues uncovered. Here we go. The main pit stretches more than 750 feet long and over 200 feet wide, easily the size of multiple football fields. Archaeologists estimate that the Terracotta Army comprises of 6,000 to 8,000 life-size figures in total across the entire burial complex, although only about 2,000 or so have been fully unearthed and restored so far. Excavations continue and more remain buried. When Qin Shi Huangdi, China's first emperor, took the throne in 246 BC, he began construction on his mausoleum near this modern city of Xi'an. His massive mausoleum project included making thousands of life-size clay soldiers, horses, and chariots to protect him in the afterlife. After Qin Shi Huangdi's death in 210 BC, the site was sealed and largely forgotten for over 2,000 years until farmers accidentally uncovered it while digging a well to find water during a drought in 1974. In the southeast corner of Pit 1, this sign marks the spot where farmers dug the well that led to their discovery of the Terracotta Warriors. Artisans built the figures in sections, arms, legs, torsos, etc., using molds for standardized parts. After assembly, craftsmen added individual details, facial expressions, hairstyles, mustaches, armor styles, and rank-specific clothing, giving each warrior an individualized appearance. The Terracotta Warriors were carefully arranged on brick floors in 15 to 20 foot deep pits. Stone walls were built between soldiers to assist in covering the pit. Large wooden beams were laid across the stone walls, spanning the width of the pit. Smaller cross beams and vertical supports were added to create a stable grid. This helped distribute the weight evenly and prevented the roof from collapsing under the soil. On top of the beams, they placed layers of woven reeds, then covered it all with clay or packed earth to seal the chamber. This created a combination of wood and mud that acted as a protective barrier. The roof mostly kept the statues safe. Today, the Terracotta Warriors are recognized as one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history, and they are recorded as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Over the centuries, the wooden beams eventually rotted or collapsed under the weight of the earth. Earthquakes and change in soil pressure also caused many statues to break, scattering heads, arms, and torsos across the pits. Adding to the damage, ancient looters entered the pits, removing valuable weapons and other artifacts. In the process, some figures were deliberately broken or displaced, leaving fragments that archaeologists are still carefully piecing together today, which we see happening in what I call the Terracotta Warriors First Aid Station. Even a humble farmer's well dug in 1974 accidentally uncovered some of these fragments. The broken statues have been compared to being like jigsaw puzzles. Archaeologists try to pair up broken pieces with the correct torso. When the correct pieces are found for a statue, they're reattached with sticky rice. Sticky rice paste acts as a natural adhesive, binding tiny fragments and filling in cracks without harming the clay. After being mended, the statues are soaked in water and the rice is washed off. You may notice colored dots on the front of many of the warriors. These badges are used to show what kind of conservation work a statue has received, whether it's stabilized, consolidated, awaiting treatment, recently restored, or what have you. Most importantly, they are not original to these statues, but rather are tools to assist the restoration specialists in their work. Some statues have black or dark legs. That's because the ancient artisans used wood-fired kilns, with which it was hard for them to control the temperature of the fire. So some statues got a little bit burned. The white chests next to these statues are for storing body parts that have been found and archaeologists believe may belong to the individual statue. The chests prevent delicate fragments from being damaged or lost on the floor, while restorers are actively working. Because there are thousands of pieces, having these plastic storage containers on hand lets conservators work efficiently and systematically. Some faces are wrapped in plastic to control humidity and protect fragile clay and traces of paint. It slows drying and prevents cracking, while restoration specialists work nearby. Many of these warriors are far more fragile than they look. After more than 2,000 years underground, even small changes in air pressure or moisture can cause pieces to crack or fall away, which is why restoration has to work slowly and carefully. Restoration here is painstakingly slow. A single warrior often takes multiple months of careful work by a team of specialists. Some are completed in a few months, while others take over a year before they're ready to return to display. This is the restoration lab, where terracotta warriors are slowly reattached and restored. Every fragment is cleaned, documented, and matched by hand. I said that some statues take months, even years, to restore. Nothing is rushed here, because one wrong move could damage clay that's already survived more than 2,000 years underground. This section looks like a battlefield, but the warriors weren't just thrown in. They were originally standing in formation before the roof collapsed, crushing the figures and scattering the fragments, giving us the scene as it looks today. Here are several chambers that have not yet been opened. You can see how the roof is saggy in some spots. It's even worse in others. This is one of their most famous pieces, the Kneeling Archer. Many pictures of him have been published over the years. We can clearly see so much detail in his uniform. It's stunning how lifelike his facial features are. We can still see some of the original coloring on the lower back of his armor. The Kneeling Archer is missing his bow. It was likely stolen centuries ago. This soldier is wearing a skirt-like wrap tied at the waist. It's a practical outer layer, especially for riding. Looking more closely at his face, we can still see traces of the original paint. These subtle colors give each warrior a surprisingly lifelike appearance, even after more than 2,000 years underground. Pictures of the standing archer have also been widely published over the years. And again, his bow is missing, likely from early looting centuries ago. Doesn't it feel like he's looking right at you? He has square-toed boots, and it looks like he's wearing a robe, but it's actually a light protective tunic designed to let him move freely while drawing his bow. Unlike the kneeling archers, who wore shorter jackets for quick crouching and firing, this longer tunic provided some torso protection without restricting his arms or shoulders. This is one of 7 high-ranking officers, possibly generals, found in the pits. Everything about his appearance point to him being a commanding officer. His uniform, especially his headgear, mark him as a leader. Unlike the simple caps and top knots worn by lower-ranking soldiers, his hat is neatly designed and tied under his chin. Even his neck scarf is tied into a knot under his chin, unlike lower ranks that tucked it in. The middle-ranking officer is wearing a long, padded tunic with thick sleeves. His neck scarf is tied under the chin and hangs over his chest. He also has a small hat tied under his chin. This is truly the face of a mid-level leader. Wearing nothing but loincloths, these figures represent laborers or court servants. Their simple clothing reflects low social status, and they were included in the tomb to serve the emperor in his afterlife. This chamber has been cleaned up and gives us an idea what it looked like before the statues were added. It appears to have a stone floor, and the walls are made of bricks and maybe pressed earth. The purpose of this 16 pounds bronze pot found among the statues is not really clear. This is a metal replica of a chariot used by Qin Shi Huangdi. You can see the low, small compartment big enough for one passenger. At the front, the seated driver holds the reins. The 4 terracotta horses are harnessed and aligned, ready to pull the chariot and provide the emperor with transportation in the afterlife. This open chariot is designed for one person, with the driver standing alone on the platform. His uniform identifies him as a specialized charioteer, higher than infantry but lower than the highest ranking officers. It too is pulled by 4 terracotta horses. This earthen ramp has likely been here for over 2,000 years. Next we see remnants of a wooden chariot and possibly horse bones. The 2 men on the outside appear to be ceremonial attendants, while the 2 inner statues are of chariot drivers, with the higher rank on the left. We'll talk about this next part in just a little bit. We have 4 soldiers of 2 different professions, yet every statue has a unique uniform. No 2 are alike. Now let's take a look at this area to the left of those 4 men. What we're looking at are horse skeletons, arranged in a line from east to west. Archaeologists estimate that these are the remains of 24 horses that were buried here to serve the emperor in the afterlife. Outside the museum, merchants sell food, beverages, and souvenirs. Thank you for traveling along with me. See you next time.